This is the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 3, starting at verse 1. The point is verse 1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. I want to start off by giving all praise, all honor, and all glory to called Loyam Layahawa, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Racha, Kudas Brakatham. I want to say double honors to my apostles, the elders of the great millstone who teach and do room well. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing the truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akwap as well as the Akim out there listening and learning. Lord willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but whom subscribe to this truth. To you I say shalom. It's your brother Yahweh Sup out of the GMS Cleveland Church, a fellow servant. And I'm coming at you with another lesson through the Spirit and through the power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Basically, I saw this article yesterday, and basically, the opportunity to bring it out today. Just showing you the times that we're living in. 2 Timothy chapter 3 says, in the last days there should be perilous times. The word perilous goes into
Strong's G 5467. Chalipas. Chalipas.
Halipas, which is a Greek word, and it means hard to do, to take, to approach, hard to bear, hard to bear, troublesome, dangerous, harsh, fierce, savage. So it says in the last days, savage or hard or fierce or dangerous times shall be. And I came across this article on my news break. I think it was a news break. I forgot where I seen this at, but it said protesters storm BlackRock's Paris office holding red flares and firing smoke bombs. So, basically, they took over. I believe BlackRock is like they have government contracts. I don't think, they're necessarily the government, but they do a lot of business with them. It says Paris, London, demonstrators forced their way into the building that houses BlackRock's office in Paris Thursday, taking their protests against the government's pension reforms to the world's biggest money manager. See, I didn't know BlackRock had their hand in a lot of stuff, but I know BlackRock be having military contracts as well. But it's, all kind of businesses that do things that you wouldn't be aware of. Like the elders brought out about with Chanel. You got the fashion designer Chanel that has a contract for the guillotines, the smart guillotines. Who is that? It's a few companies that actually got military contracts as well. I think like IBM and Tesla. Tesla got government contracts with the satellites. So I think the SpaceX. So it says, video shared on social media showed protesters entering the Centurial office block located near the Oprah Garner Opera House holding red flares and firing smoke bombs. About 100 people, including representatives of several labor unions, were on the ground floor of the building for about 10 minutes, chanting anti-reform slogans. BlackRock's office is located on the third floor. The meaning of this action is quite simple. We went to the headquarters of BlackRock to tell them the money of workers for our pensions. They are taking it. Jerome Schmidt, spokesperson for the French union SUD, told CNN affiliate BFM TV. BlackRock declined to comment. Nationwide protests against the French government's plans to raise the retirement age for workers, where most workers from 62 to 64 have now entered their 11th day. The government triggered special constitutional powers last month to push the controversial legislation through Parliament without a vote. So basically, they didn't even vote on it; they just pushed it through, and these people ain't having it. I was listening to the elder brother from Missouri, Kansas City, going today. Say how you people are dumbed down in America, but those people are standing up, and it's for a number of reasons. But when people in America lose it, they're gonna really lose it. You know what I mean? Because you got to understand. You got these other countries that they're standing up and they're not even armed. So just imagine when these Americans get hold and get armed and say, fuck this shit. But it's all prophetic too. These things are going to be worldwide events. You got protests going on all around the world at this moment. I know they had something going on in Israel. Then you had this Paris thing been going on for a minute. They said it's been 11 days, but you got to remember the yellow vest movement. Those were all forms of protest. These people not regarding their kings or princes. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 15, and I'm going to start at verse 14, and it reads, Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Verse 16, the point, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So basically, you're going to have these people in the last days stand up against their authorities. When you go into second Ezra chapter 9, it talks about uproars of the people. 2nd Ezra chapter 9, and point is verse 3, and it says, Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Verse 5, for like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. When you go into the word manifest, it means to suddenly appear. So we know we are living in the end because the things that are written in the scriptures, and they're manifesting, they're appearing before everyone's eyes. Salakia. So again, it's talking about uproars of the people. I'm not talking to you, Salakia. Bear with me for a second, Salakia. Salakia. So read a little bit more in the article. It says the changes mean that from 2027, people will have to work longer to receive full state pension benefits. BlackRock's, the world's largest asset manager, has played no part in the pension reforms, but workers targeted the company because of its work for private pension funds, according to protesters. Frankus Onik, a school teacher who spoke to Reuters. The government has said the pension legislation is necessary to prevent a looming funding deficit, but the reforms have angered the workers at a time of rising living costs. French inflation fell last month from a record in February thanks to a sharp slowdown in energy price rises, but food price inflation accelerated. Representatives of CGT, France's biggest confederation of unions, a key player in the protests, have denounced capitalism as the cause of many problems. Rolling strike action in the country has caused huge disruption to transport services, schools, and businesses since the start of the year. So, and if you see any videos like this, you just see in France, they're not, like the garbage collection or the garbage department, they're not picking up the trash, so they're on strike. When they was talking about basically the police had to use tear gas and whatnot, they said the protesters were using the garbage as Molotov cocktails, igniting it, setting it on fire, and then lunging it or throwing it at the police. So you know what I mean. You got a lot going on. And it's just showing you the instability of America, the world, and America first and foremost. Because especially white. I can't say the timing of it when it's going to take place, but things are going to start, happening more quickly. I can't tell you when, but you got these nations making backdoor deals and even kind of making it known. I believe one of the princes of Saudi Arabia basically made the statement about how they're not going to put America's interests before them. Or their country's interests, so they're gonna make deals with these other countries. You got China, Iran, and Russia basically trying to get Iran and Saudi Arabia to, reconcile. What do you think that means? So they can go and basically phase out America. We live in prophecy, baby. So call lawyer my Yahweh Shem Shai. So, with that being said, this is the book of Matthew chapter 24 and verse I'm going to start at the point is verse 12. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. And because, the sin upon sin, because that's when you go, the word iniquity means transgression. Well, it means sin upon sin, constant breaking of the law, And because of that, you're going to see great violence take up in the earth, They didn't do anything at that particular moment, but they're just showing you how they're not regarding the kings and princes. And again, like I was saying, it was violence. The police basically had to use tear gas and whatnot, Well, so when these things get more harsher, more severe, things are going to get way more dangerous. When you go into 2 Ezra chapter 15, that I brought out about they shall not regard the kings and princes. When you continue to read, talks about how they shall be spoiling each other's houses for the lack of food and for great tribulation. So these things are approaching. It's the book of 2 Ezra chapter 14.